All right. What do we think about the crooked? I think I like it. I think I'm gonna just keep it. My name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And we are so much more than just a clothing company. I'm just trying to figure out how I really want to structure this video because I've got my tree tripod here, but it's a little bit lower than my head height. And I'm going to actually discuss the ears in this video. So just kind of feeling it out. But we're called In the Image Clothing Company because we are all universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. And we talk about the skeletal system because the body is not about the fat content or the muscle mass, because those things at different points in your life come and go. The body is about the skeletal system. It's about a natural position that we just operate out of and that we have to be in, and we do everything from there. All the musculature of the body does is hinge and rotate and move the skeletal system. It's about the skeletal system. It really, really, really is. And we go into stuff, meaning I, up until today's date, being the 24th of October, 2024, I'm the one that's made the videos up until now, being the founder. I go into such great depth on stuff where it's about the skeletal system. We just discuss undisputed universal truths that apply to every human, because we discuss external things that are altering human beings. And the human body being universally designed, even if you've got something that's different in certain parts of your body, deformities, amputations, surgeries, the rest of your body is still going to be, more or less the exact same as everybody else's, just because it has to do its function that it's designed to do. So we talk about clothing because it's the only thing placed physically directly on us at all times, and so it's the only thing that has the potential to and does physically alter our bodies at all times. If it's imbalanced at all, living on an earth with gravity pulling us directly straight from our center downward, then it's going to cause our bodies to use muscles in ways they aren't designed to even work, to try to hold us up, or we would just seriously just fall over, because we have to use stabilizing muscles to just keep us vertical with something placed on us that's potentially really imbalanced. So we also try to stay within 100% natural materials, just because the body's natural. A lot of clothing nowadays is just stuff they try to pass off as clothing. That's the way I word it, because it's just plastic. Materials like polyester, acrylic, spandex. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of materials that are just plastic, man-made in a factory, taken from oil and melted down, and the body doesn't want to have to deal with those things ever. And then, people are designing an entire item of clothing out of it. It's a little bit sad. But so what we do here is get our bodies back to natural. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to get to something. We're just trying to get back to the way that our living God designed our bodies to work before we then got altered through the world. So I've had a few prerequisites since before I founded In the Image Clothing Company, just to allow the body to have a chance to operate natural. Those prerequisites are to lace your shoes with what is now In the Image Clothing Company's shoelacing technique, which you can find where you find us. You can go to InTheImageClothingCompany.com, or just find us pretty much anywhere online nowadays in 2024. And that includes tying them evenly over toward the inside, and then pairing the lacing, which all it doesn't do anything to your feet. It just allows the shoe that you're wearing within that design's capability to fit like a glove would on the hand, but for the foot. Any other shoelacing or tying combination of any possible kind will alter the way that your natural foot works. And I've discussed the foot. Again, we're about the body, and I have made so many videos on just the anatomy of the human body at all, meaning just the anatomy of the human body, maybe not even discussing clothing within those videos. The point is, the human foot, it has the same amount of tendons and ligaments and muscles and bones inside of it, and it operates the only way that it does.
And so that's what our, being In the Image Clothing Company, that's what our shoelacing technique does. It's just a shoelace technique. We don't like own it, but it's just what we show to do, because it's the only way to allow your foot to actually do the only thing it does. So pairing that with removing the tags from within your shoes and then up through the entirety of all the clothing you ever wear. And I've made quite a lot of videos on what tags do to the body, but really the point is they're synthetic, almost always, made of materials the body doesn't want to ever have to interact with on the inside of a clothing item, pressing them against your body, and they cause unnatural gaps in locations that just alter the body's natural position, like in a very, 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 very great way. So yeah, prerequisites. Okay, this video might actually be kind of long. I'm just sort of like feeling like it might be, because I'm going to discuss the ears. I made a video a while back where I titled it How Earphones Affect the Ears, I think, unless it was titled How Earphones Affect Body Mechanics, probably the first one. I'm going to go into depth in this. As I've discussed in more recent videos, my understanding is deepening daily, and there's a lot that I'm learning, and the things that I have discussed in the past, they were correct, but just there's more that I understand about it now, and deeper. So when we think about the ears of our bodies, really all our ears is a hole between the rear of our jaw, and if you look at my jaw, it comes forward and back, right? And between the rear of the jaw here, and then like the base of the skull, all the ears is a hole between these two locations. That's it. It's a hole that goes into your eardrum, right? And you can pick up waves of sound, and your system and your body just can like process the sound. The ear is made out of cartilage. Like all of this is cartilage. This, like the whole part you can see, right? That's not just like inside where the eardrum is. This whole thing is just cartilage, which cartilage isn't a muscle, it's not a bone, it's like I don't know like how to give a definition necessarily right now of what it is, but cartilage, it's the same thing that like your nose is made out of. Yeah, you know what cartilage is if you have either of those two things. So it's kind of hard, but it's also pretty pliable. Within the video where I discussed earphones, I talked about how that's the case. It's all the ears is a hole between here and here, meaning these two bones. Okay, now if you're placing something in your ears, and we don't even need to title it a certain thing, it's not about a brand, it's not about a type of thing, it's not about anything specific, but if you're putting anything inside of your ear, it's just going to alter that shape. I thought about this analogy this morning when I woke up, because it's fall, and caramel apples are something that we have in the fall. And I was picturing laying in bed, a caramel apple. Let's say you have like a stick, popsicle stick, stuck into an apple, okay? And now what you'll do a lot of the time is take like a sheet of caramel, like this, caramel, right? However you say it, however you specifically say it. You take like a round sheet of caramel, and you like take the apple on the stick and lay the caramel over it, and it goes like this. It like drapes around it and forms the shape of the apple, and then it just stays on there. Now you have this caramel apple, okay? Well, I thought about that because that caramel, if you will, is like the cartilage of our ears, and that apple is like anything we place inside of them. Earphones is the big one, right? But anything, earplugs, those little ones rather than over the ear, like earmuff type plug, noise cancellation things. So, but yeah, I mean, because that's the point, is if you're going to be listening to music, it's better to have over the ear headphones. if you're going to be protecting your ears from noise, it's better to have over-the-ear noise cancellation headphones rather than ever placing anything in your ears. Now here's the thing. The reason I mention the apple and the caramel is because that sheet of caramel is just going to be what it is, just a piece of flat caramel. But once you place it over the apple, it then forms to that shape. And so that's the same with placing anything in the ears. Because what'll actually happen is the inside of your ear canal will become the shape of whatever you're placing in there. If it's in there for any length of time, that's not just like a minute or two. So when you put earphones in your ears, first of all, if you're just in a like neutral position always, which most people just aren't in anyways because of what I discussed within clothing, within the Image Clothing Company. But if you do have anything in your ears and you go outside of your neutral position, now there's something your body has to accommodate for stuck within your ear canal. And so what's going to happen is your jaw is going to alter its natural position, because like I said, that's all your ear canal is the space between your jaw and your skull, the actual bones. So when you have something in there and you look down, your jaw has to come forward a little bit to make that space bigger. Because as you look down, or as you like tuck your chin back, this space kind of gets smaller, just because the way that the jaw inserts, like, you know, connects to the skull. As your chin comes back, it kind of like shortens that gap. So now what happens is, if you do have those in there and you're going through life and doing anything, any movement that you do make is altered a little bit and has to kind of accommodate for something that's foreign but like placed inside of this physical hole in your ear. And so any movement, like if I have one only on my left side, I'm trying to turn left, my jaw has to then like accommodate for making room so that it doesn't just like squish and like hit between your bones, right? This bone and this bone. And you can feel this. If you put your finger like between, because you can feel this is the rear of the skull, and then this is the rear of the jaw. If you put your finger between those two bones and just like move around, oh, you probably couldn't see my head, but the point is, there should just be only the amount of space there that would naturally be there. And as you talk, as you move your jaw side to side, you can feel having your finger right between where those two bones are. You can feel the way that those bones react with each other, because the jaw can move a lot. I mean, when you talk, that's how you can form words, is your jaw. When you chew, your head stays in the same spot and your jaw moves, right? So your jaw is the thing that needs to be allowed to have just all the natural motion that it would, and that's being altered when there's something physically in the way. So what'll happen is, man, see, that's the thing. Not that it's a problem at all, but this video could be really, really, really long because there's so much I could discuss with this. What I would like you to do, if you want, first, before I go any farther with this, is do that. Put your fingers there. If you already had, put them back, and if not, put them there now, if you want. That gap where you can feel, like on this side of your finger, the bone of your jaw, and on the other side of the finger, the bone of the rear of your skull, right? It comes down. Now, feel that gap and put your finger right in between that gap. And kind of just stand there, kind of move around a little bit. And what I am going to bet, not that I'm betting, but your dominant side is probably a larger gap, probably noticeably larger to you right now, doing this if you are, because of a lot of reasons that I've discussed in the Image Clothing Company videos, of the patternings that the human body universally gets into because of the designs in clothing
and uneven shoe tying. That's where it stems from, being our foundation. And then traveling up, a lot of things within designs of clothing, as I've discussed so many times, I think that they actually put imbalances there on purpose to try to accommodate for what uneven shoe tying is doing, stemming at the bottom. And the whole body's in a misalignment. And so it's so broad spread that I think people try to actually accommodate for a misalignment in design rather than trying to reinforce center, which we have to have, because, right, the things I discussed. So anyway, I think you'll probably be able to feel, I can't speak for every single human being, but you probably will be able to feel on your own body currently right now, if you're doing this, that the I was going to say right side, but really your dominant side, but most commonly the right, because 85% just about of the population of the earth is right-handed, is going to have a larger gap between these two bones than your non-dominant side. Probably. Can't speak for you unless I was there to see, but I almost guarantee that's the case, just because that's what's happening. Now, all right, yeah, this is going to be big. Like I prefaced the start of the video saying it's probably going to be pretty long because we might as well just get into it. So, I have a video titled The Dreaded Collar Seam. And that's one of those videos that I'm probably going to do multiple videos. Like I'll have one that's like the second one and the third one, and then like however many I feel like I need to, or however many I do need to is what I mean, once I get more information and more understanding of what it's really doing. But the dreaded collar seam is that little seam that's a lot of the time on the collar of a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt with just like a regular collar, okay? And go watch that video if you'd like. I show my collar seam modification. I discuss how much that's really doing to the entire body, that little collar seam. That's why it's called the dreaded collar seam. Whenever you see In The Image Clothing Company, that's what we call it, because it's so damaging to the body. Now, I discussed what it does to the shoulders within that video, just because it's a discrepancy. It's uneven, and it'll take the entire top seams of the shoulders and make them so they're uneven. And so you're going through life uneven. I'm not going to discuss so much probably within this video of that, because there's an entire video on it, and like I said, probably more to come on that. Second, third videos, because it's huge. It's huge. But what'll happen is the patterning that places you into will then already have your whole head twisted, having this gap be larger because your head's already over here, external rotation on this side being the right side if the collar seam's on the left side, and then this side's like trying to have its natural normal internal rotation, natural and normal upper trap and rotator cuff activation, and just, you know, normal position of the shoulder, really just like a neutral position. This side's pretty close. This non-dominant side, really the left side where the collar seam is, but the other side is pretty badly external. And so the jaw will already have more of a gap anyway, just because of that collar seam. So that alone will just make a bigger gap over here. And what's going to happen is the inside area of your ear canal, even if you had never placed anything external in there in your life, if you are in a patterning like this, because of the collar seam alone, for right now is what we're going to talk about, since there's just a bigger gap there, the cartilage within your ear is just going to expand to meet that gap. Your cartilage isn't going to stay at this like size that it was. If there's a gap that's bigger than it would have naturally been, the cartilage will just grow to meet the size of the gap that's there. So if you're living within shirts that have collar seams for X amount of who knows, meaning just any amount of time that allows your body to get into a patterning, that cartilage will now fill the gap that's larger, and then you won't be able to get back to here, because now there's something in the way, but nothing external just your own body has accommodated for a patterning that's incorrect. So now, just from the collar scheme alone, in this case, if you were to try to have a neutral, even head position, you wouldn't be able to unless you kind of broke up the cartilage that got excessively large. Okay? Again, we discuss universal truths. I know that some of this might seem a little bit foreign. It's true. So, yeah, man, this video could be humongous. I always talk about how the shoulder seams have to sit, the ones on the tops have to sit behind the shoulders. There's no say, there's no opinion, there's no nothing. I have a video titled that, shoulder seams must be behind shoulders. I also have a video that I titled, shoulders naturally sit behind the body. And I went into depth on the anatomy, just in depth. That video is so beautiful. Out of me saying that, like, I love that video. The point is, your shoulders do sit behind you. The way that your upper traps come up and connect into your, well, where they insert up here to where they lift your shoulders, they insert in the rear. And so your shoulders actually pull up from behind your body. And so with so many people wearing, as I was for so many years, shoulder seams either on tops of your shoulders or so terribly in front of the shoulders, it puts you constantly, chronically, until fixed in external rotation, okay? External, internal, at its base. I have a video for In the Image Clothing Company titled, There is a Lot to Internal Rotation. That video is also just so beautiful as far as there's so much that I've been given to be able to give. There's a lot of good information in that video as well. So people are in external rotation, and this video. So the shoulder seams, they just have to be behind your shoulders, okay? Anytime you've been wearing for any like extended length of time, just long enough at all to where a patterning could have been created within your body, shoulder seams that aren't sitting where they have to, which is behind the shoulders, then that's going to alter the position of your jaw as well. And same thing, the cartilage in your ear will just fill the gap. And now, no matter how much postural corrective type of stuff you try to do, there's a gap, and your jaw has to be able to get here, neutral. Okay, so I've done a lot of videos on the jaw. I'm not even going to mention specific titles of them. Okay, I will. I did a video titled How Eating Affects the Jaw. I've done a lot of videos on how the jaw stabilizes the entire body is the point. Because it does. That's its natural function. Because the jaw, I mean, you breathe, right? And any breath you take through your nose or your mouth, it goes through your, trachea, and that's in the center of your jaw. Your jaw just has to stabilize every single breath. Also, like, if you're doing any kind of movement with your mouth open versus like having at least your tongue naturally suction to the roof of your mouth, or like your jaw just like nice and stable, then you won't be stable in the rest of your body. Your jaw, that's its function, is to stabilize your body, as well as you breaking down food, speaking, right? So the jaw, anytime the jaw gets altered at all, the entire body feels it, and greatly. So anytime the ears get altered at all, as far as the space in the ear canal, I mean, cartilage up at the top of your ear, or like your earlobe, that's not really going to affect it that much. The ear canal space will affect your jaw, okay? Big time. Big time. So, yeah, darn it. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to think about what people are going through without knowing this kind of stuff, because I never knew this kind of stuff, but I've been given this stuff, and it's just crazy the kind of effect these little tiny things have on our bodies that we wouldn't know unless we found out. So with an earphone, it'll normally kind of come out right here, right? These little wireless ones, normally they have a little end piece, goes in, and then it sticks out, comes down to like here. The point is, they'll stick through here, this little piece of thing here, okay, cartilage. Now, the jaw has to be able to, like if I'm bending down, I don't want to be here, bending down. I want to be here, bending down. Natural, internal, good position, chin tucked. Now look at this gap when my chin tucks. Shortens, expands, shortens, expands. If you have something in there always expanding and you're trying to reach, you're going to reach in external rotation. You have to get this naturally where it would be, which is here. Internal rotation, shoulders go back to where I say the shoulder seams have to sit, to where they just naturally, the shoulders themselves would sit. And now you're in line, look at my spine. But this gap has to be able to be just the size that it would naturally be until it has been altered. So here, neutral, right? And from here, you have neck rotations. If my chin is out here because of a gap, right? Now, I can't rotate my neck. But if this space is the natural size that it would be, which is so much smaller than if it's been altered, then being that natural size, just the natural body that we're trying to get back to, my neutral spine now can just turn without compensation, okay? So, a big thing as well, when I was mentioning this collar seam, it's not just an evenness. It's any kind of thing within people's bodies, human beings, is almost never an even imbalance. As far as forward posture, that's almost never what's happening. Almost never. But it's a rotation, but you can't stay solid in a rotation, so you kind of fall. But you're not falling forward, you're falling in a twist. And you look kind of like this. So the reason I mention that within this is the right side, even if you have two earphones in, okay, if you're already within an imbalance, let's say you're tying your shoes the same direction as I was for so many years, as so many people are, that's why the prerequisites are the prerequisites. You have to tie your shoes even. There's no say. You'll live in pain for the rest of your life if you do not. I would be in pain for the rest of my life if I continue to tie my shoes the same direction. We have to tie them evenly. You just have to. There's nothing else. You have to. You have to. I always say we can't tell our bodies what to do. I mentioned how I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what your body doesn't do, because we are universally, skeletal system wise, universally designed. And I can tell you what to do to allow your body to do what it does do. Okay? Or maybe not what to do, but like how to allow your body to do what it does do. So this is one of those cases. And that's really just what we always discuss at In The Image Clothing Company. So anyway, the point is, since if you're in that patterning, you're already in a twist. You're not in some kind of forward, like straight forward posture. You're in a twist, and then you can't stay solid and active, twisted, and so you'll kind of like fall forward until you can just hold yourself up from that point. Now, what'll actually happen is, since you're already in a little bit of that twist, there's already that slightly larger gap on the side that's more external, because external rotation, like I showed when I was bent over, chin tucking, just being in a natural neutral position, is going to put you in internal rotation, at least a position to accommodate the natural position you'd be in internal rotation. Now, external, as I showed again when I was kind of bent over, the jaw will be forward. So, being in that imbalance, the side that is more external, the side that you're tying your shoes toward, which is probably your dominant side, which is actually your weaker side, even though it's the side that you do most everything with, because it's the side that's lacking half of its function, and the half of the function where all the strength is, which is in internal rotation. So being in that imbalance already, having this excess space on that dominant side, then placing something in there, reinforcing that gap in an imbalance. Now everything you do within your life, you're training an imbalance. You're not only doing it out of the imbalance, but you're deeper ingraining it because you're reinforcing it while you're doing things. Oh man. All right, so it's really sad. So yeah, having an oversized shirt, it's going to fall toward your dominant side, because if the shoulder seams are wider than your shoulders, it's going to slip, and it's going to slip toward the side that you're using. But again, you're only using that side more because it's in external rotation, which is more of a dropped position than internal rotation, because internal rotation stems from a natural gripping, physically, literally gripping inward of the arch of the foot. And the prerequisites are the only way to allow that to even happen at all. Okay, if there's a tag within the rear of your shirt, and now your shirt is it all toward one side versus the other, and it probably would be, just because it's going to be so uncomfortable to have a tag right on your spine, which is in the center, that you won't. And that will also be another reason why you're wearing oversized clothing. I made a video for In the Image Clothing Company titled Why Oversized Clothing is Common. That's another reason, is just you could never comfortably have a tag directly on your spine. So if you get your shirt large enough to where the tag can sit off to one side, it might seem more comfortable. But now the upper trap on that side that the tag is now on, being the dominant side, right? That trap already not being able to activate just because of the position that it's in through all of these other things, will then have a physical gap there, reinforcing the fact that it can't already do its thing normal because of the other things, and reinforcing this larger space and a misalignment of the jaw, which is stabilizing the entire body, again, deeper ingraining an imbalance, stabilizing into an imbalance. So yeah, the ears are huge. They are huge. They're so important. If you have collapsed arches, that is because of your shoe lacing. The lacing pattern collapsing your arches, which is, again, any shoelacing technique that is not the one that we show at In the Image Clothing Company. We don't own it. We don't own the technique, but it's the only technique. I don't know if anyone can own a shoelacing technique legally. It doesn't matter if they could or couldn't. The point is, that's the only way to allow your foot to be natural. So any other shoelacing technique will alter your feet. And if your feet are altered, your jaw is trying to make up for what your feet are not being allowed to do. Now that'll just alter the position of your jaw, again altering the shape of those ears. Yeah. If you have things within your pockets, that's going to place a gap where you'd naturally be activated in the rear, the posterior chain, as you've been seeing me stand through the entire video. Yes. If you have things within your pockets causing a gap, that's going to alter the position of your jaw, altering the gap where your ears sit. Everything else coming from that I discussed will be coming from waistlines downward because of things in the pockets. Both of those things play into each other, or either of those things alone. Let's say your pants are sitting, as I always say, the pants need to sit entirely above the hips, slightly higher in the front than the rear. I'm going to mention here where shirts need to sit as well on the universal human design. Seams on top need to be behind the tops of your shoulders, behind that little bone on the top, and at the edges should ideally be right at the very edges. Let's say your pants are sitting where they should be, okay, but you have things in the pockets. Even though the waistline's at a correct angle, the things in the pockets will alter the jaw, okay? Now, if you have your pants falling down in the front, but there's nothing in your pockets, it's still going to do a very similar thing and alter the position of your jaw. I've discussed sleeping a lot and how we shouldn't sleep with a pillow. I have a video titled "Toddlers Are the Natural Example," and they are. Toddlers have beautifully healthy feet. Babies, until a certain age, we don't put pillows under their heads for them to be sleeping, because if you look at this natural position with a pillow, it's altered. You're just going into, from internal rotation, putting a pillow under your head to sleep, you're just pushing yourself into external rotation throughout the whole entire night. Shoulders go external, pelvis goes anterior, legs go external, even though the knees are coming in, they're external, arches are collapsed through the entire night's sleep. Now, when your jaw, you saw me bend over and do that, position, in external rotation, the jaw is excessively forward. This gap is excessively big through the entire night of sleep. So now every night that you do sleep with a pillow under your head, that position of your ear canal, that excessive gap, like I said, the cartilage will just grow to fill the gap through your 8 hours of sleep every single night that you have a pillow under your head. Now when you wake up, you've trained this position, sleeping. And then you go through life trying to stand up straight, trying to get internal, and you can't. It's nobody's fault if you don't know. I did it for many years, I didn't know. But it's just insane that we don't know. It's insane we're so out of touch with the only way our bodies actually do anything. We don't have a say over it. So, I did a video one time titled how dental work affects body mechanics. Anything within the mouth that is unnatural can potentially alter the way that the jaw would naturally do its thing, the way that the teeth would naturally mesh, and that will affect the ears. So, in order to get here, you might have to, I don't want to tell you what to do, because I don't want anyone to hurt themselves and say like, well, Evan from InTheImageClothingCompany said to do this. No, I'm not telling you what to do here, as far as like giving you something that you should do. But what I'm saying is, if the cartilage is excessively large, excessively stiff, it will have to be broken up. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you it has to happen, okay? And hear that correct, but, right? Because this just has to be able to get natural, neutral spine. You just have to be able to get there. And yeah, I talk about one-time releases. I say, and we as In The Image Clothing Company say, that we shouldn't have to stretch. And I say that out of experience, being the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, stretching in the past, feeling like I had to try to get to where I thought normal was, never getting to that normal in those times at all, not even close, and now never stretching, and my body just does what it was designed to do. And we shouldn't have to work out or exercise just to get up to a certain capability, just to be able to do our daily things, just to be able to live as the human being we were designed as. We just need to stop altering. And so I talk about one-time releases a lot. We don't have stretches or exercises. But if something has been altered, or if there's been scar tissue because of something, or a chronically shortening of something, stuff like that, one-time releases from that immensely ingrained patterning, that might need to happen. And that's okay. It's a one-time, literally one-time thing. Because after that, it's like within doctrine, when Christ says, he heals somebody and says, you are healed, go and sin no more. It's not like he heals them and says, hey, go do whatever you want again. This is the same kind of thing. One-time releases implying then don't do those things that are causing that patterning ever again. Just don't do it, because now you have the knowledge. It's like, yeah, same thing with biblical stuff or like doctrinal things. If you can only be held accountable for the things that you know. If you don't know something's wrong, if you don't know something's hurting you or your body or somebody else, you can't be held accountable for doing it, even if it is wrong. But once you know, then you can be held accountable. So once you learn these things, those one-time releases are one time, assuming, not that we're assuming, but right, meaning assuming you go through life now not doing the things that are causing those patterns, because now you know. Then it really is only a one-time release for the rest of your life. So yeah, the ears. Yeah. All right. That's what I'm going to talk about for the ears. I'm almost tearing up because, I mean, yeah. Anyway, my name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. We will have clothing available, and it will always be made out of 100% natural materials. It will always sit where I discussed a few minutes ago where clothing has to sit, on the universal human design. It will never have any kind of tags protruding from the inside, no logoing or branding on the exterior, things like that. Staying centered, just the whole intent, the whole goal is just to allow the body to work. That's all we do here at In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah. Check out In the Image Clothing Company podcast where you find your podcasts if you'd like to check that out. What that is discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is beautiful. I love it. Thank you. It's not about selling clothing here at In the Image Clothing Company. It's about the human body. It's about the fact that we do not have control over this, but we do have a say in not doing things that could potentially, or just have been, altering it. So, like I said, today's the 24th of October, 2024. Thank you. Make sure you're being careful about what you're doing with your ears. If you have done things that have altered them, there's things you can do. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to release that bound up, excessively thick cartilage, but like I said, I am telling you it has to happen. So be careful, but it's so much easier to allow your body to do what it would naturally do than trying to get it to do anything, because we can't actually get it to do anything out of our own like wants or wills. It only does what it does. We just need to get it back to that. We need to allow it to just get back to that. So there's a lot within In the Image Clothing Company content that will help everybody. It's not opinions, it's not a perspective, it's just truth. Undisputed, universal, applies to every single human. So check out In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah. Any kind of jaw pain, TMJ is a term that kind of gets thrown around, and check your ears. You can have all the jaw specialists look at your jaws as much as you want. Could be dental work, could be your feet, could be your shoulders, could be your hips.
But if your ears are altered, then it is your ears. So, okay, thank you.